The slow pain you don't notice at first. They say you always feel love fading, but the truth is, you don't. You don't notice it disappearing. You just wake up one day realizing the person you loved the most has slowly turned into the person hurting you the most. And that's where her story begins. Mia wasn't the kind of girl who believed in dramatic heartbreaks. She had always imagined love as something warm, soft, gentle, the kind that healed, the kind that fixed what the world broke. And for a long time, that's exactly what she thought she had with Noah. He was calm where she was emotional. Steady where she was chaotic. Confident in the places where she doubted herself. In the beginning, loving him felt like standing in the sunlight after years of cold weather. It felt like home. But sometimes homes catch fire quietly. It didn't start with yelling. It didn't start with distance. It started with small cracks, tiny ones, the kind you only notice once the whole thing is collapsing. He stopped texting good morning. He stopped asking how her day was. He stopped noticing when she got quiet. He stopped holding her the same way. He stopped seeing the pain in her eyes even when it was right in front of him. The change was slow, slow enough that Mia kept making excuses for him. He's tired. He's stressed. He doesn't mean it. It's just a phase. But deep down, something inside her chest was shifting, a quiet ache she couldn't explain. Every time she reached out, she felt like she was bothering him. Every time she needed reassurance, she felt weak for asking. Every time she expressed hurt, he made her feel dramatic. The moment she couldn't unsee. It happened at the bookstore. A man walked in, nothing special about him. No dramatic soundtrack. No sparkles in the air. Just a face Emma had seen a few times before, someone who occasionally bought mystery novels and asked for recommendations he never followed. But today, he wasn't alone. With him was a woman. A woman who seemed almost out of place, like she had stepped out of a different world. Confident. Beautiful. Effortlessly charming. Emma wasn't jealous. She wasn't comparing looks. She wasn't even emotionally invested in the man. But there was something about the way the two walked together, something strange. Not romantic. Not friend-like. Something else. Something guarded. Something heavy. Emma looked up for half a second, just enough to catch a moment that wasn't meant for her to see. The woman whispered something into the man's ear. His expression froze, fear, guilt, panic, something sharp. And then, he nodded. It was subtle but powerful. A moment that didn't belong to her, yet it reached inside her chest and gripped her like a cold hand. For some reason she couldn't explain, that tiny silent exchange shook her. The woman's eyes flicked toward Emma. A quick glance. Too sharp to be accidental. Too aware. Emma felt exposed. Watched. Like she had stepped into a story without knowing the plot. Nothing about that moment made logical sense. But deep inside, something split. A crack she didn't understand yet. A disturbance she couldn't ignore. She never believed in signs until that moment. And that was the moment she was never able to forget. The spiral of questions. Emma tried to shake it off. But the mind has its own gravitational pull, especially when something doesn't add up. She kept replaying the woman's glance. The man's nod. The tension neither of them tried to hide. Who were they? What did she whisper? Why did the man look scared? And why did the woman look at her? The questions didn't stop. They grew. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. Something was wrong, not with them, but with her. She felt a strange shift inside her chest. Like something old had woken up. Fear. Curiosity. Or a truth she had been avoiding her whole life. By the next morning, she realized the moment had planted something in her, a feeling she couldn't name but couldn't escape. She felt unsafe in her own routine. unsettled in her own silence. The world didn't look predictable anymore. People didn't look simple. And she didn't look at herself the same way either. It was the first time she realized that one moment, even a quiet one, can change the entire direction of a life. The unraveling of the old self. Over the next week, Emma began to notice things she had ignored for years. The way her coworker lied to customers with a smile. The way her friends pretended to be supportive while slipping in criticism. The way strangers in public wore masks, emotional ones, not physical. She had always brushed these things aside. But now she saw everything differently. That one moment had cracked open her perception. She became more observant. More intuitive. More aware of hidden motives, silent signals, and unsaid truths. People began to feel predictable in a different way, not comforting, but transparent. She didn't like it. But she couldn't stop it. Because once you see something, once your instincts activate, you can't unsee it. Her old calmness was gone. Her quiet comfort had disappeared. Her safe little world now felt too small to breathe in. She was changing, and not slowly. Not gently. Not voluntarily. Something inside her was waking up, the part of her that had been asleep for years. The truth behind the moment. One late afternoon, the man returned to the bookstore. Alone this time. He looked exhausted. Nervous. Almost broken. Emma didn't want to talk. But fate doesn't ask. He approached her slowly and said, "You saw something you weren't supposed to." Emma froze. "I'm sorry," he added. Not because she had been uncomfortable. But because he had been caught. He didn't reveal details. He didn't need to. The pieces were enough. The woman wasn't a partner. She wasn't a friend. She was someone who held power over him, real power. Something involving manipulation. Debt. Control. Threats. Secrets he couldn't escape. And in that moment at the bookstore, Emma had accidentally walked into the center of a truth that wasn't hers. A truth that wasn't small. A truth that had consequences. "You shouldn't get involved," he warned softly. "It's dangerous." But the damage was done. Emma already was involved, not in his story, but in her own transformation. Because the moment she witnessed that strange exchange, it forced her to confront something far bigger. She had spent years living halfway asleep. Halfway present. Halfway alive. That moment didn't just reveal their reality. It exposed hers. The woman she became. Emma never saw the woman again. The man disappeared from the bookstore. Life returned to normal. But Emma didn't. Because one moment, a single unplanned, accidental moment, had snapped her out of the silent numbness she had mistaken for peace. She changed her routines. She cut off people who drained her. She started asking hard questions. She stopped ignoring her instincts. She began protecting her energy. She stopped letting life happen to her and started taking control of it. Her friends noticed. Her coworkers whispered. People said she wasn't the same. And they were right. She wasn't the same girl who lived quietly. Or blindly. Or passively. She was sharper now. More awake. More alive. More aware. Some moments break you. Some moments teach you. But a rare few moments, quiet, unexpected, and seemingly insignificant, wake you up. And that is why. She was never the same after that one moment. The moment she finally chose herself. She wasn't scared of losing him anymore. She was scared of losing herself if she stayed. The next day, Mia didn't text him first. She didn't wait by the phone. She didn't ask where he was. She didn't beg for attention. For the first time, she chose herself. It felt strange at first, like learning how to breathe again after holding her breath for months. But every hour she didn't chase him, she felt a little more alive. When Noah finally came home, he barely noticed her silence. He assumed she'd forgive him, assumed she'd always stay, assumed she'd always be there waiting. But Mia wasn't waiting anymore. Later that night, she sat across from him and said calmly, "I miss who we used to be. But I miss myself more." Noah looked stunned, almost offended. "How did this become about you?" he asked. And that was the moment she knew. He never understood her. He never tried to. He never cared that she was hurting. So she got up, walked into the bedroom, and began packing the pieces of her life, not to leave him, but to rebuild herself. The freedom that finally healed her. Sometimes walking away isn't giving up, it's growing up. Mia didn't leave with rage. She didn't slam doors. She didn't scream. She simply stepped out of a love that had stopped loving her back. And with every step she took, she felt lighter, freer, more herself. She moved into a small apartment of her own. Started therapy. Started eating again. Started sleeping again. Started smiling again. Started remembering who she was before love drained her. And the more she healed, the more she understood. Love isn't supposed to feel like survival. Love isn't supposed to make you lose yourself. Love isn't supposed to hurt more than it heals. Months later, Noah called. He apologized. He missed her. He wanted another chance. But Mia wasn't the same girl anymore. The one who accepted crumbs. The one who begged for affection. The one who stayed while breaking. She said softly, "I loved you. But I love myself more now." And she hung up. Not out of anger. Not out of revenge. But out of peace. Because she finally understood. Leaving wasn't the end of her story. It was the beginning. When love starts to hurt more than it heals, that's not love anymore. That's your sign to walk away. And Mia did. And she never looked back. Her heart stopped. When she opened it, Alex stood there, breathing hard, as if he had run the whole way. His eyes weren't angry or confused, they were simply honest. And that scared her more than anything. "Mia, can we talk?" he asked. She nodded, stepping aside. He walked in slowly, as if entering a sacred space. They sat across from each other, but the distance between them felt enormous. "I don't want to lose what we have," Alex said quietly. "But I also can't pretend anymore. I feel something real. And I'm scared that staying silent will end up hurting both of us more." Mia's eyes softened with a sadness she'd been hiding for months. "Alex. I feel it too," she whispered. "But I was afraid that saying it out loud would break everything." He took a slow breath. "Maybe saying it is the only way to save it." For the first time in weeks, she smiled, small but real. Maybe this was the moment everything started to change. Maybe this was the beginning they both deserved. When truth feels too heavy. The confession didn't magically fix everything. If anything, it made the air heavier, charged with everything they had tried to avoid. After admitting their feelings, both Alex and Mia sat in silence, unsure of what came next. The truth was finally out, yet neither of them felt the relief they expected. Alex watched Mia closely. She wasn't running away, but she wasn't smiling either. Her hands nervously traced the rim of her mug, and her eyes drifted toward the window as if she were searching for answers somewhere outside. "Mia," he said softly, "talk to me. What's going on in your head?" She closed her eyes, gathering courage. "I'm scared, Alex. Not of you, of us. Of what this could turn into. What if we ruin everything? What if it doesn't work? What if we lose each other?" Her voice cracked slightly, and Alex felt something inside him pull tight. "Mia, I don't want perfection, he said. I just want honesty. I want you. Even if it's messy. She let out a trembling breath. I've loved you longer than I should have, she admitted. But every time I tried to say something, the fear won. Fear of losing our friendship. Fear of needing someone too much. Fear of being hurt. Alex moved closer, slowly, giving her space to pull away if she wanted, but she didn't. I've been afraid too, he said. Afraid of wanting more than you wanted to give. Afraid that you'd think I was reading too much into things. So I stayed quiet. But silence, it doesn't protect anything. It just kills it slowly. Mia looked at him then, really looked. For the first time, she saw the exhaustion behind his eyes, the weight of months of unspoken feelings he had carried alone. It hurt her in a different way, a deeper way, knowing she had been part of that silent ache. I don't want to hurt you, she whispered. And I don't want to lose you, he replied. Their honesty hung between them, fragile but real. After a long pause, Mia finally said, So, what do we do now? Alex reached out and gently took her hand. She didn't pull away. Her fingers tightened around his as if holding on to something she'd been afraid to lose. We take it slowly, he said. We talk. We try. No pressure. No rushing. Just us. One step at a time. Mia felt something warm spread through her chest, a mixture of fear, hope, and relief. Maybe love wasn't supposed to feel perfect. Maybe it was supposed to feel exactly like this, uncertain, overwhelming, and painfully real. Okay, she whispered. One step at a time. For a moment, neither of them spoke. They just sat there, holding hands, letting the silence settle in a new way, softer now, safer. Outside, the night felt different too. The streetlights glowed a little warmer. The quiet hum of the city sounded calmer, more comforting. Maybe the world hadn't changed. Maybe they had. And maybe, that was enough. When distance starts to feel like the only way. The days after their confrontation felt strangely quiet, like the calm after a storm that hadn't really ended. Mia tried convincing herself that space would help her think, but the silence only made her thoughts louder. Every place she went somehow reminded her of Ethan. The coffee shop near her street, the bus stop where he once stood waiting for her in the rain, even the music she listened to suddenly sounded different, emptier. Ethan felt it too. He replayed their last conversation so many times, it was like torture he couldn't turn off. He had always been patient with her feelings, but this time, he knew Mia wasn't just scared, she was hiding something. Something big. And if she wasn't ready to let him in, then what chance did he really have? Still, resentment wasn't what he felt. It was heartbreak, and a helpless kind of love that refused to disappear. One evening, Mia found herself scrolling through her phone, hovering over his chat. Her fingers trembled slightly. She typed, erased, typed again, then finally locked her phone and threw it aside. Why was she so terrified of telling him the truth? Why was she willing to lose him just to protect her own fragile heart? The truth was simple. She wasn't afraid of loving him. She was afraid that he wouldn't stay. Across town, Ethan stood outside the small bookstore they once visited together. He didn't know why he was there, maybe a part of him was hoping she would show up the same way she used to, smiling shyly like she carried a secret only he knew. But the door stayed closed, and the street stayed empty.